ancestral altars or satanic altar. Because of the Baal's altar in our life that are causing us and have brought the spirit of fear in our life. That's why we might not serve very well. We might not be effective in our ministry. We might not be effective in whatever we are supposed to do or we are doing because of the altar. And because God understood that the altar, the Baal's altar, the father's altar, that Gideon's father's altar will not allow him to be effective in his ministry or the work that is ahead of him, he allowed him and told him, first of all, destroy your father's altar. And God told him in verse 23 and told him that you be peace. Let peace be with you. Will not die. Do not be afraid and will not die. Then Gideon built an altar for the Lord. And when he built an altar to the Lord on verse 25, the Bible says that the same night God told him, destroy your father's altar. God understood the father's altar will derail Gideon's work, will derail Gideon's ministry, will make Gideon not to be effective in the ministry. What is an altar? Altar is a place raised to worship, a place raised for worship or to honor God. And in altar, there are three things that takes place in an altar. One, worship. Two, prayer. Three, sacrifice. Every moment and every time you go to altar, whether the altar of God, every time you go to the altar, you ought to go to understand that you are going to do three things. First of all, worshiping God. Secondly, is prayer. Third is sacrifice. These three things has to take place and normally takes place to any altar. Never ever go to the altar without a sacrifice. A number of people in our life, we normally go to God, to the altar without a sacrifice, without offering or without a gift. To appease any God of any altar, you need to have a sacrifice in your hand. Somebody will say that Christ died for us and he was a sacrifice. But remember to destroy the altar, the Baal's altar. We are to destroy and to reject the ancestral altar in our life, in our families, so that we may succeed. The altars that and you cannot destroy them until you become spiritually mature. Or you commit yourself. Surrender yourself to God and ask God to help you and let God reveal to you which kind of altar you ought to destroy. And my friend, there are only two altars in the world. Satanic altar and godly altar. And you cannot serve in the two altars. You ought to serve in one altar. When you decide to go to God's altar, then you have to destroy the satanic altar, which are the ancestral altar. Some of us, we go to God's altar and we never carry our family, we never carry our property to that altar. If you read the book of Ezra chapter 8, verse 21 to 23, you realize that when Ezra went before the Lord to pray, he prayed one thing, that God, he prayed and sought direction and instruction, one, for themselves, their children, and their property. So when you go to the altar of God, go yourself, surrender and submit yourself, submit your family, your children, and even whatever you have. Do not let your property and whatever God has given you, leave them to satanic altar. When you go before the Lord, go with everything the Lord has given you. Life is apart from life being in the blood, but life can be found in the altar. All those sick people went before the Lord. When they were sick, they were healed. Nobody went to the Lord and came out suffering. When Hannah went to the Lord, God gave him as a child. Even when Saul was looking for a donkey, when they went to the Samuel, they were told already the donkey is at home and he was anointed. So each and every moment you go to the altar of God, you will receive a miracle. The reason as to why you are not getting a miracle, you are not getting a miracle healing, my friend, my brother,